Hey, welcome back to YT Finance, and this is the channel where I went to business school so you didn't need to, and today we are talking about SoFi Technologies and their SoFi stock price. In this video, we will be going over their upcoming catalysts, latest news updates, price targets, and what we can anticipate for this company going forward. In this video, we will be analyzing 3 articles, to where the first one is titled, SoFi Schedules Conference Call to Discuss Q2 2023 Results, and this should act as a pretty positive catalyst. On top of that, we'll also be discussing why the current share price is pulling back right now, which I discussed in a previous video on how I knew this was going to happen. The next article we will be analyzing is titled, 3 Reasons Why the Student Loan Decision Didn't Lift SoFi Stock, and Why That's Okay. So we'll be going over the latest news updates regarding how the US Supreme Court has stopped the student loan forgiveness plan, and how people with student loan debt will start to accrue interest and have to pay on this debt as time progresses. And we'll discuss why this should have been a very positive catalyst, but actually has caused the share price to drop a little bit. We will also analyze an article titled, Why SoFi Technologies Stock Climbed 20.2% in the Month of June, and investors should be aware of the news in all of these articles, and even if you are familiar with some of these stories, I promise you there's going to be a unique spin on a few of them. So let's start off just talking about SoFi Technologies, but if you want more videos on SoFi Technologies, don't forget to go and annihilate that like button right now because it helps me out a ton and it allows me to see what videos you all want me to make more of. Also, don't forget to comment your own price target for this company down below, subscribe if you are new. Don't forget to become a member of this channel for as little as 99 cents per month because that's what keeps me here on YouTube. But if you can't afford 99 cents per month, don't worry. By subscribing, you will receive this content for absolutely free. But with that being said, I say let's jump right into today's stories. SoFi Technologies, as you probably already know, is a fintech company or a financial technology company that operates as a digital bank. Currently, SoFi shares trade for $7.93, while very bearish naysayer analysts think the company would fall to around $3 over the next 12 months, while on the other hand, we have bullish positive analysts who believe the company could surge up to $14 over the next 12 months. Now, previously, I've literally said that the company would experience a pullback, and as of right now, the company has pulled back by around 4.53%, but I think this is actually going to extend and increase over time, meaning that it's going to pull back a little further. Again, the sweet spot for this company is going to be between $6 and $7, which is when you would want to acquire the majority of your overall shares. Because with an average cost basis between $6 to $7, your long-term potential of making loads of money from this company have increased significantly. But let's talk about the good news regarding their upcoming Q2 2023 results, which should be rather positive. SoFi Technologies recently announced their plans to host a conference call concerning their financial metrics for the second quarter of 2023, and that is going to be issued on July 31st, which is a Monday of 2023 at around 8 a.m. Now, this is going to be Eastern time, and you can actually go to their website at this link here below, and you can be sitting on their website as early as 7 a.m. so you can actually be informed on what this earnings call will cover. And for me personally, I think this is going to be a rather positive earnings call because if we look at the history of their overall earnings call, the majority of them are very impressive, where they have beat on both their revenue expectations and their earnings per share expectations and estimates, which is overall very positive. But let's jump over to why SoFi Technologies is pulling back right now, exactly how I predicted. And despite the very positive news from the student loan decision from the Supreme Court, which many investors thought would invigorate SoFi investors, why has that caused SoFi to actually pull back in their overall price? Well, first I want to say it's due to pre-anticipatory expectations, and it caused a pre-anticipatory run for SoFi stock, which we will talk about in the next article. Essentially, people built up a lot of momentum and hype into this company leading into the actual result, but once the final result came in, where the student loan moratorium was going to end and a Biden student loan forgiveness plan was, investors were already anticipating that this would happen, meaning that it was already baked into the SoFi share price, which is why we saw an increase in the shares leading up to this decision. But once the decision actually happened, we actually saw a decrease and pullback because people are now taking profits, and that's just classic investor psychology. Now, what's interesting is that it's probably not every day to where a Supreme Court decision dictates what happens in your overall portfolio, particularly regarding a specific stock. But the Supreme Court's recent ruling on student loan repayments and student loan forgiveness is extremely relevant to SoFi Technologies, and it's very positive for the long-term prospects of this overall company. Now, it might seem to you counterintuitive that SoFi shares actually declined despite the positive and favorable news that we received from the Supreme Court regarding the student loan moratorium ending, repayments and interests starting to accrue on student loans, and the student loan forgiveness plan by the Biden administration being deemed unconstitutional, which is all very good news for SoFi. However, since investors were already anticipating this good news, that increased the overall share price, meaning that the gains that SoFi received, which we will talk about more in the next article, was already baked into their overall share price. So once the official decisions were actualized, then investors decided to take profits, and that's a reason why we saw a recent pullback, and I think it could pull back even more. For the author of this article as well as myself, we believe the company is going to pull back between $6 to $7. And that is going to be an ideal time to accumulate some shares, but in the meantime, it's best to just hold this company, because even if we are wrong and the company actually increases in their overall share price, you're still making money because you hold shares. The main point here is to not increase your average cost. We want to lower your average cost, and that can only be done by buying shares cheaper than what your average cost basis is for them. So let's dive into the details to determine how all of this might unfold for SoFi Technologies. Well, currently around 44 million people have federal student loans in the United States that they are anticipated and expected to repay, especially after October. The Supreme Court, as you know, blocked President Biden's and the Biden administration's plan to authorize federal student loan forgiveness, which again is a very positive catalyst for SoFi Technologies. The reason we aren't seeing the fruits of this overall decision in their share price right now is because investors are taking profits on SoFi because they believe it is overvalued, and they are not alone in that. Many other experts actually say the exact same thing regarding how SoFi increased in their share price too quickly, which meant that a pullback was imminent, which is what we are experiencing right now. Now, although it is hard to know exactly what's going to happen next, overall, we've only had good news surrounding SoFi Technologies, and with their upcoming earnings report, that is going to add fuel to the fire, increasing their share price potentially even more after the pullback. I also like how this Supreme Court decision will increase the revenues of SoFi Technologies because it's going to increase demand for their student loan refinancing, which essentially could add up to $100 million per year to SoFi Technologies, which is a load of money. Now, this is where I think the author of this article really hits the nail on the head here. He says, prior to the Supreme Court decision, SoFi stock already rallied from $5 up to $9 in a matter of weeks, and that is very odd for a company to do that so quickly, and that means it became divorced from its overall fundamentals. This prompted many analysts, including a Compass Point research analyst, who described the stock's stunning performance as overdone, meaning that it has separated itself from its investors, it became overbought, therefore signifying that a pullback is imminent back to around $6 to $7. And the author even says that he fully agrees with this professional analyst's opinion, where he says, the student loan moratorium was already scheduled to end on June 30th, with payments resuming 60 days later. Recent events are unlikely to have a material impact on that timeline and the recovery finance origination volumes. A JPMorgan analyst echoed this sentiment by asserting that the underlying financial impact of the Supreme Court's decision for SoFi Technologies is essentially insignificant now because the price was already baked in, meaning that SoFi shares even before this decision ran up from $5 to $9, and that was the exact amount that it was anticipated to run up after this decision was positive. So instead of doing it afterwards, SoFi Technologies just did this before based on pre-anticipatory projections. So surely the market has understood these analysts, and that's why investors are currently taking profits on SoFi Technologies. This also helps explain why SoFi Technologies fell after the Supreme Court's official ruling, and it did not surge even more. It makes no sense for the share price to increase from $5 to $9 and then jump again another $3 to $5 after the decision, when the decision's most positive case was already pre-baked into the company, which caused the original $5 to $9 increase. Now, as clarification, I am still bullish and positive on SoFi Technologies for the long term, but I practice proper risk management because I understand market psychology, and this is nothing new. Pre-anticipatory runs happen all of the time, normally before catalysts or even sometimes earnings reports. So let's see how SoFi Technologies plays out. If it pulls back, we get to buy it for cheaper, around $6 to $7, and even right now it's trading at $7.93 or something around there, meaning that it is essentially in the buy zone. but I think it could fall a little more, and that's why I'm going to wait, because I've already taken profits, which I've said in a previous video, but I still hold around 3% of my portfolio in SoFi Technologies. So now let's discuss exactly what our strategy should be and why SoFi Technologies climbed so highly so quickly. So the fintech had a couple of catalysts during June, which the first one was the passage of the debt ceiling deal, which impacted all stocks on the market positively, essentially. And this also led to the provision of the student loan moratorium ending, which SoFi has been lobbying against, and they even sued the federal government over this, because the federal student loan moratorium negatively impacted SoFi's overall revenues to where it's estimated that they lost around $300 million worth of revenue due to this overall student loan moratorium. And because the student loan moratorium was active for around 3 years, we can anticipate $100 million per year that should be restored back to SoFi Technologies from now going forward. Also, the second big win in June for SoFi Technologies was that the Federal Reserve did not increase interest rates for the first time in more than a year. However, this temporary rate hike pause is temporary, meaning that they will increase the overall interest rates later. However, in general, this was very positive news for the overall economy, sending the shares even higher. And those three reasons are why we saw a huge increase in SoFi's share price, which is where I sold close to the top, and then now I'm advocating between $6 to $7 to rebuy, so you have this phenomenal amount of margin and difference here, which are literally all profit. And always remember, you don't have to follow exactly what I do. Literally, just do what you think is best, but don't criticize me when I'm making plenty of money from this stock. Clearly, in the last article, we already addressed the final catalyst, which was the Supreme Court ruling, but I like how this author actually says, but despite this positive news of the Supreme Court ruling, why did the stock price fall back and lose some of its gains? Well, he says it's likely because these gains were already baked in due to a pre-anticipatory run in their overall share price. So he says that it's going to be interesting to see SoFi's second quarter results, which again is going to be on July 31st, because so far, SoFi has had an incredible run, not only in their overall share price, but also their overall financial metrics. Now, the only thing that we need to watch out for, and this is why I personally took profits and am now looking to rebuy into the company, is because their price to sales ratio jumped from 3.5 all the way up to 4.7, meaning that this company is overvalued right now for a fintech banking institution. Now, again, I want to be clear, I did not sell all of my SoFi Technologies. I literally sold 1% of my overall holdings. That's like nothing. I saw an opportunity to take profits to where I did. It seemed to work out very well, and now I am rebuying at lower prices to where all of this margin and difference is pure profit for me. And that is what we are seeing from other investors as well. There is some profit taking from investors going on right now, which is decreasing the overall share price after this major run-up, because that's just the smart thing to do. However, again, I want to re-emphasize the long-term trajectory of the stock is still completely intact despite some near-term volatility. But for investors who only think stocks go up and how it jumped from $5 to $9 and then somehow it's going to magically jump from $9 up to $15, that just doesn't seem in the cards for SoFi Technologies as of right now. However, I'm more than open to change my mind depending on what the financial metrics are for their upcoming earnings report. Because if the earnings report is extremely positive and we get very bullish projections for their revenue and earnings, then I would say by all means the share price is going to go even higher. But until we get those estimates, until we can make a data-driven backed decision, then right now there's no reason to overhype a company. Again, it's already a good company, but all companies are volatile in their overall share price, so you might as well make profit off of the overall volatility by being a risk-averse, smart investor. But again, this strategy is not going to work for everyone. I'm just telling you what I am doing. So what's right for me may not be right for you, and if you're just content with holding this company, then that is honestly the safest thing to do. Because either way, when you hold this company, you're going to win. Either over the long term, it's going to increase in their overall share price, giving you loads of money, or it's going to pull back, giving you an even better buying opportunity. The reason I wouldn't say it's a buying opportunity now, because the share price is a little expensive. Again, going back to the overall price to sales ratio creeping up from 3.5 to 4.7, which is rather high for a banking institution. But overall, I am still very positive on SoFi Technologies. I think they have set a great trajectory for them to grow over the long term. They they are acquiring members. I expect them to beat on their overall revenue projections and earnings per share, which I will talk about in another video when I go over what we can anticipate for this upcoming earnings report. But in this video, I just wanted to go over my strategy, price targets, and the latest catalysts for this overall company. But I would love to hear your thoughts down below. What is your strategy? What's your price target that you think SoFi Technologies is going to reach? What do you think of my strategy? And I would love for you to subscribe if you are new to the channel. With that being said, I will see you in the next YT video.